Welcome to Marking the End Times. I'm Mark Hitchcock, and AI is advancing much more quickly, I think, than any of us ever imagined. Certainly, it's advancing much more quickly than I ever imagined in my wildest dreams. For many, it's the realization of a technological dream, but for others, they see it more as a nightmare that's going to lead to unthinkable abuses of power over our lives. Either way, everybody agrees that the ramifications are alarming and world-changing, to say the least. And I believe it's no exaggeration to say that AI represents a prophetic shift of gears. AI is what I would call an end times accelerant. It seems like every day we hear of some new advance in AI, and the time frame for the rollout of these surprising surges get closer and closer to one another. Here's one example of this just from this week. Fortune magazine, Elon Musk says that in 10 to 20 years, work will be optional and money will be irrelevant thanks to AI and robotics. So the headlines just continue to roll out week after week with no end in sight that AI is changing everything. But what's most significant, I believe, is the view of a growing number of young adults about AI. Their view of AI will shock you, I think. It certainly shocked me. There's a new survey, and I want to dig into this on this week's video, that reveals that younger adults are willing to give AI authority over government policy-making decisions and even sovereignty over the world's largest military machinery. They want to hand authority over to AI because I think they believe that AI doesn't have ambition and it's unbiased, and so they can trust it more than they can trust individuals. But let's jump right into this new survey about the attitude of young adults toward AI. This is from the Christian Post. It says a new survey conducted by the Heartland Institute's Glenn C. Haskins Emerging Issues Center and Rasmussen Reports found that 41% of young adults, this is 4 out of 10, ages 18 to 39, support giving AI advanced systems authority over governmental policymaking decisions. The poll that was just released last Wednesday found that 36% would support AI control over individual rights, including speech and religious practices. So they're willing to give over to AI control over people's religious practices, while 35% favored AI controlling the world's largest militaries to reduce war deaths. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a stunning statistic to me. 4 out of 10 handing over these, governmental policy decisions and militaries to AI. Donald Kendall, who's the director of the Glenn C. Haskins Emerging Issues Center, that's part of the Heartland Institute, he said this. He says, these results are stunning. What we're seeing is the early emergence, listen to these words, of an AI strongman mentality among younger Americans. Younger generations are increasingly disillusioned with the failures of traditional institutions, so much so that they're willing to hand control over to artificial intelligence. It says, for many, the thought process is this. These institutions are already so broken, corrupt, and ineffective. How could it get any worse if we were to put AI in charge? These poll results illustrate an incredibly dangerous trajectory. I think that's another very interesting statement there. This is an incredibly dangerous trajectory for any society that values personal autonomy and liberty. And I would just add here, this is the trajectory of the Antichrist. That's the trajectory that this is on. And it's an incredibly dangerous trajectory. 36% of respondents expressed support for a proposal that would give AI control over rights that belong to individuals and families, including rights related to speech, again, religious practices, government authority, and property, people's property rights. Now, you think about that, that includes about every area of life. Your speech, your religious practices, the authority of the government, and your property. So 36% of young adults are willing to hand all of these things over to AI. Again, as I kind of alluded to earlier, this just says it a little bit different way. 35% of respondents, as well as 40% in ages 18 to 24, support giving advanced AI system the authority to control the world's largest militaries with the express purpose of reducing the number of people who die from war. So again, to just kind of summarize what we've said thus far, they want to hand over control to AI for speech, religious practices, government authority, property, and the world's largest militaries to control all of this. Now, a related story to all of this, of the role of AI in government, comes out of the nation of Albania. Some of you may have seen this story earlier this year, but it's gone now another step. Euronews has this headline that says this. In January, Albania started using a digital AI assistant named Diela, which means son in Albanian. So it's this digital assistant, which means son, to advise people how to navigate government services online. By September, Rama is the prime minister of Albania, announced that Diela was joining his cabinet as the first digital minister. So in Albania, there's now a cabinet member that's AI. It's this digital minister on the cabinet. And the function of this AI cabinet member is to root out corruption. Now, notice in that quote I read, it says that Diela is the first digital minister, which to me that strongly implies there are more to come. This is just the first one. Other cabinet members will be added that are AI. Now, the Euronews adds this, and this is the headline in Euronews this last week. Albania's AI minister is pregnant with 83 digital assistants, prime minister says. So you've got this AI digital minister, and of course, the word pregnant is in parentheses or in quotes there. But Albania's AI minister is pregnant. In other words, this AI minister now has 83 digital assistants. They're kind of considered to be Diela's children. Now, if this weren't so serious, it would be comical. But this article in Euronews says Albanian Prime Minister Edi Rama told the Global Dialogue Forum in Berlin that the parliamentary assistants will participate in parliamentary sessions, keep notes on what goes on, and then give advice to members on how they should react to specific pieces of legislation. So you've got this digital minister, and now what's considered to be her children with these 83 digital assistants, and they're going to give members advice on how they should react and respond to different pieces of legislation. And the article goes on and says these children will have their mother's knowledge regarding EU legislation and everything else, Rama said. So this new AI Albanian cabinet member, Diela, gave an address to Parliament. So this digital minister gave an address to the parliament in Albania. And here's what this AI minister said. I'm not here to replace people, but to assist them. Truly, I do not have citizenship, nor do I have any personal ambition or interests. I have only data, a thirst for knowledge, and algorithms dedicated to serving citizens impartially, transparently, and tirelessly. Isn't this precisely the spirit of constitutional democracy? Exercising power in the service of everyone, free from bias, discrimination, nepotism, or corruption. Now, if only that were true. AI is only as unbiased as those who control it. So those who control AI, as has been said by many world leaders, truly will control the world. Now, there's no doubt to me when I read things like this that we're far down the road to the Antichrist system, farther than we can probably ever imagine. Younger generations are increasingly willing to turn power over to AI, which is basically saying the same thing as saying that they're willing to surrender power to the Antichrist. Because ultimately, AI and the Antichrist will merge into one as he seizes control of the world economy and political power. And ultimately, the world will fall down at his feet and worship him as God. So what we're watching unfold right before our eyes is just beginning. I think we're racing toward the advent of the Antichrist. And the most stunning part of all of this, I think, is that quote I read earlier from Donald Kendall. And I want to just go back and highlight that again. He says, what we're seeing is the early emergence of an AI strongman mentality among younger Americans. So it's interesting to me, younger adults don't want a human strongman, but they will gladly accept an AI strongman because they think it will be unbiased and not have ambition and be free from corruption. But what they don't know is that the AI strongman they want and will welcome will actually ultimately be the final strongman. It will be the Antichrist. Now let me close with just this final thought that struck me as well. Think about how AI will explain the rapture. I was thinking about that this week. You know what's going to happen when the rapture takes place? The whole world will turn to ChatGPT or whatever its future equivalent might be to ask the question of what's just happened. People all over the world are going to go to AI trying to find out what's going on here, what has just taken place. And I'm sure that AI will come up with some sensible, plausible explanation for the disappearance of millions of people that will calm the chaos and pacify the panic that will exist in the world. An Antichrist who will be the master of AI will use the growing willingness of people to cede power to AI to begin his ascent to the throne of global power. So there's no doubt that AI is paving the way for the advent of Antichrist, the ultimate strongman, unlike anything we've ever seen before or ever even imagined in our wildest dreams.